Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? This is Joseph Conlon here tonight with your AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. Real quick, I hope everybody is having a great and safe night wherever you are, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's AEW Dynamite show because I sure as hell did. That was a very good show tonight, put on by AEW. Got a lot to talk about tonight. And by the way, AEW proved to you tonight, I mean, they're not the worst wrestling show in the world this year going into it, but AEW Dynamite is not, I repeat, not the worst professional wrestling show of 2021. It is actually the best. Yes, I normally don't take shots, but yes, I'm talking about Polana Productions, folks. What a terrible, horrible take that he said on his latest video. AEW's the worst wrestling show of 2021. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here. Get with the program. This was a very good show tonight. We got some pretty good matches. We got someone leaving a faction. And then we had that big main event that everyone was hyping up for 7 days now. 7 days. Everyone was hyping up Jon Moxley and Lance Archer versus Kenny Omega and Kenta. Do you guys think it lived up to the hype? I do. That was an absolutely chaotic main event. And personally, one of my favorite main events on AEW Dynamite in its history. We got a lot more to talk about that later on the show. But if you guys have not already, make sure you go check out my Super Bowl reaction video. I would appreciate that. And make sure you go check out my Monday Night Raw review from this past Monday. Let's talk about tonight's Dynamite. This was not live. This was taped last week from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, New Jersey. Jacksonville, Florida. I am so sorry. We started the show with Joey Janela and Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Last week, I was not a fan of Janela getting a shot at the TNT Championship for absolutely no reason. I'm sure everyone was pretty upset about that. But I knew they were going to have a good match. They had a very good match to open up the show. These guys work really well together. They got similar styles. They're both absolutely relentless at what they do in the ring. And, you know, these guys were going for each other's teeth. If you guys saw Joey Janela, at one point Darby Allin was sitting on the ring apron. Joey Janela, he just pushes the rope and lets go, and it hits Darby Allin square in the mouth. That looked absolutely nasty. And then Darby did the same thing to Joey Janela with the ropes hitting Joey Janela right in the face. Those ropes, all right, I've never wrestled inside of a wrestling ring, okay? But from what I've heard and what I've watched on YouTube, those ropes, they're not soft. Those are hard ropes, and those ropes, they can hurt you. So, very dangerous spots by Joey and Darby Allin, but they had they had some great mat wrestling as well toward the end, with the Darby Allin hitting his stunner, rolling into the cover. Then Janela sat up, and he did his own roll-up. And then earlier, Darby did a code red off the top rope. Janela kicked out, and he rolled Darby over, and he kicked out. That was insane. That was a crazy spot. That was a great spot. But then Darby Allin set Janela up, put his arm behind his back, coffin drop, 1, 2, 3. No interference by Team Taz. Darby Allin gets the clean win over Joey Janela and a very good opening match for the TNT Championship. It's a defense under Darby Allin's belt, and this was Tony Schiavone said it best on commentary. I tweeted this out. He said it best on commentary tonight. Those guys went out there and they set the bar, they set the table for the rest of the show, and they were like, beat that match. So, very good stuff from those gentlemen. Then we saw a backstage vignette, a backstage promo with MJF and Sammy Guevara. Okay, Sammy Guevara walks out of the office of the Inner Circle, and it's just, he kicks everyone out, and he says, we need to talk. It's just him, MJF, and the cameraman. MJF sets his phone down on the table. So what happens is Sammy Guevara says, I know what you're trying to do here. You are trying to take over the Inner Circle, and you're trying to manipulate everybody in the Inner Circle, and you're trying to kick members out one by one. And MJF obviously, he's acting dumb, and he's like, I think you're trying to take over Chris Jericho's spot and lead the Inner Circle because you're jealous about his leadway. And then MJF is done with his speech to Sammy Guevara, and then you hear after you take a video on your phone, you hear a little ring. A ring goes off on MJF's phone. Sammy's like, whoa, what'd you just do? He takes MJF's phone, he chugs it at the wall, and then he gives him a punch right in the gut. So that tied into what happened after the tag team match between Chris Jericho and MJF, which we will get to in a little bit. But this set up to what happened later in the night. Then we got Cody Rhodes teaming up with Lee Johnson to face Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. If you guys don't know him, he was in NXT. He was wasted in NXT. They released him. I don't know if he signed to a contract with AEW, but here he is teaming with Peter Avalon on Dynamite tonight. This match was short. It was sweet. It didn't go longer than 10 minutes. It was totally fine for what it was, in my opinion. Cody took the spotlight away from himself. Again, it just goes to show you how selfless Cody Rhodes is, and he's not selfish at all. He putting the spotlight on himself. This was all about Lee Johnson. He's having a little feud on Dark with Peter Avalon. I didn't watch Dark, but I saw the clip on Twitter. And Cody goes to take out Cesar Bononi on the outside. Avalon tries to hit his finisher. Lee Johnson moves. Small package. 1, 2, 3. Lee Johnson pins Peter Avalon. And then he pins Avalon. And that's his first win. He was 0-29. And he is now 1-29. And he had a promo after the match with Tony Schiavone. You had Dustin, QT Marshall, Arn Anderson out there. And Lee Johnson said, when I first came into AEW and I spoke to Cody and I spoke to Dustin, what they said to you do is you got to work hard. And I was one of the hardest working men at the Nightmare Factory, and I worked my way up. So it was a very emotional post-match promo by Lee Johnson. And then Tony Khan came out with a tweet after saying that Lee Johnson he's all elite. Lee Johnson is all elite. I'm really happy for him. He's only 22 years old. He's pretty good in the ring. He's got a lot of charisma. If they wanted to, he could be very good, I think, in the Nightmare Family. He could be a top leader in that faction as well. So kudos to Lee Johnson and the entire Nightmare Family for that. We then got Pac versus Ryan Nemeth. Like the last match, not too long. This match was about 10 minutes. Pac got the win with the Black Arrow into the Brutalizer, and that was it. Nice little showcase from him. Ryan Nemeth got some offense in. Pac got his winning ways back on track. Here we go. First off, before we get to the match, Chris Jericho is getting interviewed. He's with Hager and Wardlow. And the interview, I don't remember who it was. She was like, I realize your entire group's not here. You're missing some members. And then up comes Santana and Ortiz. And he's like, last time we saw Max, he was in the trainer's room checking out his ribs. Then he comes up with taped ribs. And he tells Chris Jericho that Sammy Guevara threw his phone and punched him in the ribs. So they walk out, their music hits, and then they have the whole Judas sing-along thing. Then the Acclaimed come out. Max Caster is absolutely a star. He is awesome. I don't know about you guys, but it felt like the night that the Acclaimed were baby faces. Just like with the babyface side, the audience and being cheered on in the match. I don't know if they're turning babyface or not, but we'll see what happens. They had a pretty solid match here with MJF and Chris Jericho, but it was all about what happened after the match. So we're going to get to that. So before we get to that, and talk about the ending of this match real quick. Bowens got thrown to the outside of the ring. He went to go do a splash on MJF. And then the referee, Aubrey Edwards, got distracted. Jericho hit Max Caster with a Judas effect. Jericho pinned Max Caster. MJF and Jericho, they get the win over the Acclaimed. After the match, though, Sammy Guevara comes out. He comes out by himself with his own music. He comes out of the heel side. He walks out with a microphone. And Jericho's like, "What are you doing? What is wrong with you? You threw a cell phone and punched him in the gut. Why would you do that to him?" And then Sammy Guevara said, "Chris, I stood right here in the ring with all of us in the ring together. And the town hall something like that. It was a town hall, I think. I'm not sure what it was, that segment on December 9th. But he said, I stood right here on December 9th. And I told you, if there's one more thing with him in the inner circle, I'm done with the group. So I'm here to tell you that I'm done." And Chris Jericho says, "You're done with what?" And Sammy Guevara says, "I am done with this I'm done with the inner circle. I quit." Drops the microphone. He walks away. He walks out of the babyface tunnel. He's got his suitcase and all that stuff. He said, I don't want... Alex Marvez runs up. He tries to get an interview with him. He says, I don't want to talk about right now. I need to refocus, and I just need to stay away from this place for a little bit. So Sammy Guevara, he takes himself out of the inner circle. Everyone thought that he was going to get kicked out of the inner circle, or Jericho was going to kick him out, and they were going to attack him, all six of them. That did not happen. Sammy Guevara flat out said he quit being in the inner circle, and MJF stood there and he acted like he couldn't give a shit. MJF couldn't be any happier that Sammy Guevara is no longer a part of the inner circle. He stood there and he was like, whatever. Other five members, they were pretty upset. Ortiz tried to get his attention. Sammy walked off. This is excellent. This is probably the best storyline in AEW. I'm going to be real here. This is the best storyline in AEW. Sammy going away and saying that he needs to take some time away from this place. I think that's going to write him off of television. He is going to come back at Revolution, and he will cost MJF and Jericho the match against the Young Bucks for the Tag Team Championships. So that's what's probably going to happen with this. I'm all for this, man. He was right with the backstage segment saying you're trying to take over the Inner Circle. You're trying to manipulate everybody. Sammy Guevara is right. Sammy Guevara is thinking like us and thinking what we think MJF is doing with the Inner Circle. And guess what? It's not over. It's not going to be over for a long time because Santana and Ortiz, they're going to be out soon next, in my opinion. So how long that takes, I'm not so sure. But the Inner Circle, they are crumbling, and they are crumbling fast. And when you know it, poof, they're going to be gone. And there will be no Inner Circle anymore. Great stuff. So then we got an interview with Tony Schiavone, and he is interviewing Sting. And I see a lot of people on social media criticizing Sting shows up every week. He doesn't need to show up every week. It's unnecessary. And you know what? I agree. I love Sting. His debut was one of my favorite moments of last year. And I still watch it to this day. But I don't think he needs to show up every single week to do these short segments that are going to take 2 minutes, 1 minute. It's just very unnecessary, in my opinion. Excuse me. That's just me, though. That's just me. So Sting, he goes to talk, and Taz appears on the Titantron. He's like, "What's up, Stinger?" As you can see, I'm in this big van with Powerhouse Hobbs, and we're about to go to Team Taz World, and look what we got in the back. And in the back, the camera goes back. You see Brian Cage and Ricky Starks putting Darby Allin in a body bag tied up to the truck. Starks and Cage get on the truck. They hold the string. The truck takes off as Cage is holding the string. Darby Allin is hanging on in the back inside a body bag. Sting runs off. He tries to get Darby Allin. My God, man. My goodness. You couldn't pay me $1,000. You could not pay me $1,000 to do what Darby Allin did, being tied up to a string inside a body bag and being driven away and dragged on concrete floor. That is, oh my God, that's painful. That is absolutely painful. You could not pay me to do that. So Darby Allin is one crazy, crazy dude. He is insane. Darby Allin's insane. And then we get round 1, the first match of the Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament between Legit Layla Hirsch and Thunder Rosa. They had a very good match for the 10 minutes it was. Thunder Rosa gets the win at the end. She's moving on to the next round. I'm starting to grow on Layla Hirsch. She's a very good wrestler. She has some charisma, which I like. She has personality, and she's going to be very good in AEW. I'm not sure if she's signed. I think she is, but she's going to be very good in the women's division in AEW. Thunder Rosa, she's amazing. She's a dark horse pick or a sleeper for the women's tournament to face Sheeta, which we now know that's taking place at Revolution. I believe probably The finals will take place on the final episode of Dynamite before Revolution. And then we get the title match at Revolution. So next Monday on AEW's YouTube channel, we're getting all of the Japanese matches with Mayu Itonami and Aja Kong and Emi Sakura and Yuka Sakazaki. I'm sure I'm missing other names, which I don't remember, but that should be very good. I'll definitely be tuning in on Monday, and I'll be talking about it next week here on the Dynamite Review, so stay tuned for that. Thunder Rosa moves on. I believe she's going to take on the winner of, I want to say, Ty Conti and Nyla Rose, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be interesting. We get match announcements for next week. We are getting Matt Hardy and Hangman Page. Again, Matt Hardy, Hangman Page, and Private Party against TH2 and Chaos Project. That's another thing I forgot to talk about too, with Matt Hardy and Hangman Page. They were in a bar together, drinking, telling stories, and Matt Hardy was like, "Look, I'm still happy that we got that win last week, and I'm happy we got that win last week. We had great chemistry together, and I would definitely love to do this again." And they're in a bar, and he makes Page sign a paper. He makes him sign a paper for, I don't know, whatever it is, but it seems like Matt Hardy's trying to get him under some deal or whatever, but they're going to end up fighting. I think that's a nice alternative match for Hangman Page. It gets him something to do at the Revolution pay-per-view. It gets something for Matt Hardy to do, and they'll probably have a good match. So I think this all leads to Hangman and Matt Hardy at the Revolution pay-per-view. So we're getting that 8-man tag next week. We're getting FTR versus Matt Sydal and the debut of his brother, Mike Sydal. I didn't know Matt Sydal had a brother, so should be interesting. We're getting Serena Deeb versus Riho, the return of Riho next week on Dynamite. I'm looking forward to that match. That'll be a match that I have my eye on for sure. And we're also getting, I can't remember now. Young Bucks, not that match. There's another match they announced, but I just don't remember what it is. We're getting Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. That'll be a nice throwback to Full Gear 2019. And what I was saying I forgot about, that they only announced 4 matches. They announced that next week that Sting is going to be calling out Team Taz after what they did to Darby Allin. Main event time. Here we go, folks. Time to talk about this main event. Falls count anywhere. Anything goes. We got Kenta, who came out with his IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship briefcase that he challenged for, which he will on February 26th. And Kenny Omega with Lance Archer and Jon Moxley. This started in the ring when Kenta hit Moxley with the briefcase. Then Kenta went to hit Archer with the briefcase. And they were going at it in the ring. Omega brings a trash can. He hits Archer with the trash can. He then hits Moxley with the trash can. Omega does "You Can't Escape." And then he does a moonsault onto Moxley while holding on the trash can. Lance Archer brings in a ladder. And Lance Archer brings in a ladder, and he hits both Omega and Kenta with it. And the first nasty spot of the match, they get the ladder set up on the corner. Lance Archer grabs Kenny Omega by his throat, throws him over him, and like the back of right here, Kenny Omega's back hits the ladder. That was a cringe moment right there. That had to be nasty for Omega. Then they're fighting on the outside. Kenta gets in the face of Pretty Peter and gives Pretty Peter Avalon a GTS. That was pretty funny, I guess. Then Moxley goes to attack. He goes to attack Kenta. And then Archer grabs Omega, who's over on the guardrail, and he throws him onto Avalon's bed. And the bed breaks. There's a little table underneath there, so that was that. That was a pretty cool spot. Then we get back from commercial, and these guys are fighting in the kitchen. They're fighting in the same kitchen where the Young Bucks, Butcher, and Blade were fighting in this past July. So, flashback to that match. I had flashback memories from that match with this match, since it was a Falls Count Anywhere match. Kenta gives Moxley a DDT onto some tray, and then at 2, Lance Archer throws a sack of potatoes at Kenta, and then Omega comes from behind, and they start brawling, and Moxley and Omega, they kind of break away from Archer and Kenta, and they leave them in the kitchen. So Moxley and Omega, they come back out to the ring, and they're fighting each other. Omega gives Moxley a V-trigger, lays him on the table. Lance Archer and Kenta come back. Lance Archer is looking to powerbomb Kenta through the announcer table. So Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, JR, Don Callis was on commentary for this match. They all move, and they get out of the way. Kenta moves. He throws Archer into the table, and he gives Moxley a double foot stomp, which did not break the table. But that was pretty cool that he got out of it. It gave him a foot stomp. Then you got Moxley and Kenta fighting on the outside. They're taking each other out. And you see Archer and Omega come face to face. Archer's telling the world champion to hit him, swings a kendo stick at him. Archer grabs it, he breaks it. He goes to attack Omega. Out come the Good Brothers to help him. Kenta takes Archer down on one knee. The Good Brothers give Archer Magic Killer. Omega hits Lance Archer with a V-trigger. And then both Good Brothers, yes, just both of them, help Omega lift Lance Archer up on his shoulders for the one-winged angel. Kenny Omega pins Lance Archer clean. And I loved how it took 4 men to defeat Lance Archer. They protected him very well in that ending. I knew he was going to take the pin. I didn't know how, though, but I liked the way they went with it. They protected Lance by having him, a 4-on-1 beatdown with Moxley taken out on the outside. So this was chaos. This match was absolute chaos, and it was personally one of my favorite main events on AEW Dynamite ever. And that's coming off of a 6-man tag last week that I said was one of my favorite main events on AEW Dynamite ever, with Moxley, Pac, and Phoenix versus Omega and the Good Brothers. So AEW's main events the past few weeks have been top-notch, fantastic. So I give credit where credit is due. They are killing it with their main events. This match, chaos. This was amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the AEW Dynamite review here tonight on the Big Fight Fuel channel. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching the video. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're just 5 subs away until 350 subscribers, halfway until 400 at that point. And I'm trying to get to 400 subscribers before WrestleMania 37. That is the goal here on the Big Fight Fuel channel. So hit the subscribe button if you have not already. Comment down below your thoughts about tonight's AEW Dynamite show. I want to hear it down below. Hit that like button if you like what you heard from me in the video. And go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Colin_Joseph. Again, thank you guys so much for 2,000 followers. I really do appreciate that. It's an honor. And tomorrow night, back here on the channel, will be your NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day preview and predictions. Yeah, you heard that right. We have not talked about NXT in a while, in a very long time here on the channel. That changes tomorrow night when I preview TakeOver Vengeance along with my guest who is on here for NXT TakeOver 31 preview and predictions, Cameron Johnson. So he's going to join me tomorrow night to talk about TakeOver Vengeance Day. It's going to be fun. Don't miss it. And I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy.